we're gonna go through here and people are going to
Yeah.
call out one that they wanna discuss.
Why don't we just go through in order?
Yeah,
Any questions on the
right
first
through
one?
in order.
No?
All right, that's only one.
Any questions? on
Yours
the
look good.
No? You guys?
Yes, sure. Guys, we're going through one by one.
Yeah.
Can you put it up on the screen by chance?
Yep.
That way we can all see what's going on.
We'll go right to the cover schedule. Okay, this is the first item. Any questions?
I don't know what it's for, but you know,
Yes, it was for travel,
Yes,
travel expenses.
at least a portion was sure. It was more than that difference there, it's a little bit more than what I've put in for travels and.
No. it's a
So is
little
it
less.
exactly, okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
Yeah, so,
all right. So no questions on that? Anyone want to know where they're from?
Yeah, it was Caribbean vacation. It was actually a park, and it was, I got a really, I got a really good deal. And so-
All right, how about the second item? Technology expenses, is this
Must've been Spirit Airlines.
computer stuff, Jen?
No, this is taking from technology expenses, moving it over to.
Right, I'm just,
to town manager
Right.
expenses. So there were just a number of unexpected expenditures for that line, yeah, it's not one specific thing, and to the point of Rick's, it was, I mean, Rick's travel was what took it over, but there were also unexpected expenditures against that
Yeah.
line, so it wasn't
Yeah,
necessarily
and I
that.
just waited till the bitter end before actually, as things would have it, both of the expenses were in the month of May to Worcester for the municipal energy summit and to Lawrence for the court date for something that we know about and
You can state it.
and parking.
Public
Yeah,
knowledge.
it's true, yeah, it was for an item that was on the, has been on the agenda, so it was for the CNET.
Just to recap the schedule, from the account is where they're running, they have excess funds. It's going to account that has run a deficit. When you look at any account over the course of a year, it's not just the last expenses in that cause it to be over, it's the entirety. And so what you really have to do in some cases is look towards all of the ledger transactions to see what might cause it. In general, though, keep in mind that, overall, we budget for 100% and we spent 97%. So we've got, a good amount of money unexpended. This is merely to even out the fact that you cannot predict 18 months ahead what's actually gonna happen in any one year.
Can I ask a dumb question on the whole thing? Sure. If you take the money that's in the account that it's coming out of and the money that is coming to the account into, there's still gonna be a lot of cash left over.
We're not changing the cash at all.
No, there's roughly being 100,000 left over, what's in the balances.
Yeah, or to put it another way,
Yeah, that'll be turned.
That's one component of free
you're
cash.
not, you are not changing the total expenses by 1 cent.
right,
Zero. You're just moving budget, basically budget line.
But there will be an excess left.
The excess is over $400,000, yes.
Well,
So eventually that'll be free cash.
Eventually that goes to free cash. So we got 497 unexpended. So this is not about anything other than making the budget for deficit accounts be zero. You do that by lowering accounts that are showing way more than zero, so.
And none of this is coming out of the FinCom Reserve Fund, obviously, that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, this is just.
Moving budget from one line.
Yeah, it's just moving budget. line
Right.
item. So postage expenses next, or are we at the,
Yes, postage
Right.
next. Any questions on them or?
Those are all election related, it's what we, no,
Not necessarily, it was really a lot of increase in certified mailings, but also that the US Postal Service is raising their
Oh,
postage expense
okay.
quite a bit, and we just got notice that it just got
Okay.
increased 5 cents.
Okay.
July 1st, so we may be facing this again this year.
Also did the Whittier mailing to educate.
Yeah, you had
A lot of these little
additional,
things.
you had additional mailing.
We did have additional mailings, yeah.
You,
So it was-
you've
it
taken,
was-
it-
it
you-
was-
right, you've taken the stance that you want to communicate out more, and one way to do that is through mailings, which is pretty good.
Additionally, we actually did go up with the postage, if you noticed, from the last year's budget to this year's budget. Purely based on election stuff and price increases that we knew were gonna happen. And we still may even run deficit on that.
Then,
And my question is, the 5,276, that's how much you needed to
yes,
to take in order to meet your.
budget, yeah, right,
Okay.
all you're doing is making sure that ends up with a zero
And
deficit.
what's the other column called balance, then what does that represent?
That is the balance in the account that we're transferring
So you
the
take,
budget from.
From,
you take
Yes.
one from one account,
Yeah.
go to another account.
Yeah.
You generally try and find an account that's related to in some fashion, either departmental or by activity. You'll see electricity, for instance, is one where it's not, it's in two different departments, but we cross those because they're highly related.
so it's not the balance in that account, it's the surplus that's left in that account, right? Okay.
Right, the first balance column are all excess,
Surplus,
excess, yeah, surplus. So we good with postage? Why don't you go to this inter one? Title and foreclosure.
Yeah.
You can see that we're moving from legal, which is under one department, we're going into the treasurer's department, where they do a lot of processing that actually involves legal work.
Yes, so most of the unbudgeted costs in tax title and foreclosure were to keep you off.
Right.
For their
For legal.
work, for their legal work in.
Angus mentioned, right, and Angus mentioned that they're having difficulty budgeting legal because you've got two types of legal things going on, and we have gotten a little more aggressive on some tax title work,
Yes,
and some of it's been rather complicated and it's been going on
yes, yeah.
for a couple of years.
Mhm.
But we'll be well worth it at the very end.
So I had a question on legal. I thought we were overspent on legal this year. So at one point in one of our executive sessions, we
Yeah, so Angus went through and he reclassed a bunch of expenditures that were hitting the legal expense line to other accounts that could absorb those costs.
like Elliot.
Yes. And tax title.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not so bad after all on the legal component when it gets distributed.
Right,
Okay.
So the next one is the one I mentioned earlier where James has come up with, and we'll call him James right now because he's gone into a deficit situation. 151.35, Rebecca sent out something that changed where that's coming from. It's not coming from operation of fax copy machine, because that amount ended up not having enough to cover it, so it's gonna come out of the town clerk salaries and wages, which you saw in the second item that Rebecca sent out, so that's just the only change there. And Jen, you'll handle that internally, right? Yeah.
They've been up here.
Oh, good, so you have already changed it, okay. Oh, you have it right there, right?
Thank you for accepting a salary decrease, that's really on behalf of.
We got Max for cheap. That's really what I was.
Any questions on that?
No.
So the next two are a repeat of what we did a year ago. And it gets into the whole question of, you have a salary and wages, which presumes you can have a certain amount of working staff. And then you end up not having that staff. So you cover what you would have paid out in regular wages by paying overtime to existing staff. Is that a fair summary of that?
that's fair.
And that, to me, you know, to me, I always see it as. You don't wanna be chasing another additional person if you can take an existing person and pay overtime. That's the way I look at it. No, you can see 2 years in a row. We've spent way less in salaries and wages, but that was because we paid more in overtime premium, but if you marry the two up. You're running an excess in both accounts combined.
So the next one is something different though. And this is the one that I have a question on.
Okay.
So the fire administration wages are higher than budgeted. I thought they were gonna be decreased. You know, with the new staffing.
So,
Yeah. So, or is this just a matter of the way that they reclassify the wages, the wage lines within the fire department?
yes, so that will help with this, because they have a difficult time budgeting where when they'll be called and where they'll be expending over the 3 different categories, so administrative wages, that should have been easier to budget because you don't know really. So,
Can I say something here?
yes,
So, when you look at the fire department, and again, I think the context, Jen, that we should always be using is the overall general ledger scheme. Because if you discuss departmental, sometimes you wanna look to see what the other behavior is. In the fire department. They ran an excess of 52,000. They spent 83.68% of budget. They had one account that they're overdrawn on. Correct?
yes,
So, like Jen says, you're kind of cleaning up how you're accounting for all of this, because breaking it out so finely has been indicating problems where, you know, to me, their department, when you run 84% of budgeted expenses, you've done better than the town-wide 97%. So I think sometimes you gotta be able to look at all the line items for a department to get a better context of this. Set helps, I don't know.
yeah, so going forward for FY 25. This administrative wage line will be only for the chief, and it's a stipend, so it won't change, that won't now continue to have this problem. All of the other wages are going to be encompassed in one line.
Okay, that's good, that's what I was.
Yes, and that will take care of this issue.
Okay.
A comment
Yeah.
and a question. Maybe the comment is procedurally, the form's not signed, it's the only one. in the
Yeah.
packet.
Oh, right, the chief is here to sign, so we will,
Hey, come on,
I know.
I can forward it for you. And the other one is, to go back to Rob, because we didn't get a chance to talk about the previous one, the police. I think there's a bigger problem there. I think generally they're short-staffed, and I think they probably do need another officer, and that'll be a discussion for a future date. They're always short-staffed, and I'm sitting and we're doing the union negotiating.
Yeah,
now,
right.
And to hear the pain that they have to go through based on that, and that does really crank up the overtime, but if they had another person.
Yeah, it might be easy,
Right, so that's a whole nother discussion for another time.
but given the circumstances, I think,
Well, given
like
the
you said,
circumstances.
given the circumstances, they handled this rather well, is my point of view.
Yeah, I mean, long term, I'd like to see.
Yeah, no one wants to stress and the angst that they go through, right?
Well, I mean, there is currently a position that isn't filled.
Anybody-
I think they're all filled now.
Are they also,
Yes,
okay, I
they
thought it was.
just filled them.
But don't forget, they're off at,
Now
they're
they're.
training, so that's the problem, you hire these people, they're not trained,
Right.
then we train them and then they go off elsewhere, so it's a real dilemma.
Right, yeah. Okay, so we're going on to another one now?
Yep.
Which one is that?
Dispatch, same situation, same salary to overtime. That's just a staffing issue, correct? Now they're fully staffed.
Yes.
So we good with that one?
Yep. I am.
Next one,
DPW salary wages to town operations. Town building operations.
So this is mostly HVAC, I mean, that's what's cited, but,
Mostly, I don't know if Caitlin wants to speak or, yeah.
Yep, so this was, we had the unexpected HVAC repair in the middle of May. And that was about 13,000. And then we had the children's castle expense which was almost 18,000, which that was my fault for. It kind of like fell through the cracks until the budget season came upon us, and I had set that money aside for that, but then the HVAC repair happened at the same time that came out. So me and Jenny have a plan to hopefully put aside the Children's Castle money in the beginning of the fiscal year so that we're not hit with that at the end of the year, even though it's something that we're expected to pay every year anyways, but that was my fault and that fell through the cracks for this year.
So that's about the total amount there between those two things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Children's Castle?
That's the changes, right? The changing the walls and everything?
No.
No.
No, the Children's Castle utility expense that we share for Pentucket. So like Pentucket sends us,
Okay, I'm thinking of a place, sorry.
Yeah,
they send us a bill for a percentage of their utilities that the town is required to pay. And it's usually around between like $17,000 and $20,000 a year.
Okay, so that's not an unusual, it's just where it's hitting. So what else happened during the year that
I
caused
think-
this to be over?
I think it was during budget season that it was overlooked,
Okay,
so.
got it. All right.
Am I correct in saying that, Kate?
Yes, yep.
So was that included in, although we're not talking about now?
In the current, yes, we did discuss that.
Fix the problem, right?
So I'm sorry, I didn't get the answer, so you took that into account for the,
Yes,
right, the law, right, thank you, Rick. That's always one of the questions that is informative here, to see if it's something that's gonna catch us again, right?
Mhm.
Okay, next thing. Highway, sidewalk and trees, am I correct?
Yes.
Any discussion on that one?
My question is just on the street paving and repairs, that's being hit for certain 3 of these transfers. Is that line over budgeted? Do we not do enough paving this year that there's not much money left over, or is it chapter 90?
Most of the street paving and repairs was through chapter 90 this year, so we didn't, we left money in that specifically because I knew I would be under or over budgeted in a few other lines, so we left it alone after that and everything fell under chapter 90.
Okay, great. Any questions from you guys?
Again, for context, which this is the way I would myself always review budget, is DPW overall was at 93.75%. So, I mean, they handle a lot of money. And the impression is that we've adequately budgeted for them, and then they do a good job of spending it frugally. So that's my overall impression of DPW. Next item. Jim, what's the next item?
Depends on what
Well, it was the one before.
Before that, yeah.
DPW
Yeah, it was the one
expenses.
before on the DPW expenses.
Propane bill unexpected.
What does that mean, unexpected bill, I guess?
So this one, we had an unexpected propane bill that came in the end of May. I don't think we usually get a propane fill up that late. This line also hits the legal ads, which we had several RFPs that would have fallen under this line that needed legal ads and things like that. I think we had 3 RFPs and IFBs that needed legal ads this year, which was $1,500.
So that's not all propane, in other words.
Nope,
No, it's
nope.
just-
The propane was around 3,000, little under.
All right, and the next one is the road machinery expenses.
This one, we had unexpected damage to a plow truck during this winter. That was around $1,000. And then we had an unexpected rot issue in the electric truck that we had that needed work done. And then we had an unexpected diesel fill up right at the end of June where we should have waited till the FY 25, but none of the guys at the DPW garage knew any better, so, and that was 2740.
I hadn't heard about the problem with that was with the Ford electric truck with rat or mice.
I think it was mice. They said rat, but I think it was mice.
Yeah, but the mice are, they can kill you,
Yeah,
absolutely kill you, so much damage, such a little body.
right.
Okay, back to Rick's question. So you've been through the cycle once or twice now. You feeling comfortable with the budget we set for the current operating year?
Yeah.
And you've gotten a good sense of the exposures you can have and what to look out for and how
Now,
things.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good, great. Thank you. I think you're doing great.
Thank you.
Is it okay to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
So this is one of those that is kind of related. We're taking electricity in one place where I guess we didn't spend as much, but we're moving it to another place where we spent more than expected. And who's the electricity expert here? Who wants to explain what's going on with electricity? I'm surprised. Everybody
Let's switch direction.
I know. Rick has moved back. But, you
No,
know,
I quite honestly don't understand why this particular one, and I didn't dig into it, but
Right. Yeah, no.
I don't understand why this particular one is the one in overshot, because this is public streetlights should be very predictable and very consistent
they do
because.
change the rates on you.
Well, that's the thing, is that it must have been the rates changed. I thought that, I have to look at the way,
Right.
what's being transferred from the credits for the Main Street Solar, what accounts are
Exactly.
included. I thought that this one was included, but maybe not.
Right. So part of the explanation could in fact be that the reason there's 24,000 good one count is it got all the credits and 8,000 another and didn't get any credits. It could be something like that.
Yeah,
It could be, budgeting electricity is kind of rough because the rates are jumping around like crazy. Usage is probably pretty stable.
well, yeah, here it should be completely stable.
Oh, no, this one, but I mean,
Yeah, on this particular account, the utility assumes a certain number.
Oh, yeah,
number of
it's-
lighting hours a year. period.
exactly, right, that's
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
stable, but what I meant was,
Yeah,
in general, because electricity is like this a little bit, it's a little bit dovetailed, you got like credits you transfer and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So what I'm really getting at is, given the difficulty, I mean, I think electricity can be very tricky to budget. What sense are you getting for this coming year as we go through it? And is there additional work to be done so that we can, for instance, resolve whether it's not getting credits that it should get or whatever?
yeah, so that's something, Caitlin knows that, Caitlin and I have talked about this and I haven't gotten the job done, but, need to look at the accounts that the. Money is currently credited to, because we actually. As an aside, we actually have substantial credits on some of our electric accounts right now, because. The last time that it's called a Schedule Z, the allocation of money from. The Main Street Solar credits to other accounts, it's called virtual net metering, and we fill out a form called the Schedule Z, so we allocate certain percentages to different accounts. That was done initially, it was then redone 2 or 3 years ago. I wasn't involved in that, it was, and based on the fact that we now have significant credits on more than one account, we need to look at that again and try to get that balanced out, right? So that,
And in part, you can also take a budgetary decision that you won't bring any credits over street lighting. Make that an account that you can nail fairly well, other than rate increases. And that, so, I mean, this is. Electricity, in one way, it could be looked at town-wide, and we're separating out street lighting, maybe. Like we've done with some other accounts, everything should be combined into one electricity account. And then you manage it within that one account, that's kind of a way to do it. Anyway, so we good with this?
Yeah.
Ross is making his move, Dan is still here, so we got a quorum, and we got one final item to go.
Thank you.
Ross,
Thanks,
good to see you
Ross.
again, man.
Good someone, man. Yeah, you too.
Yeah, watch the sun, would you? So, we got one final item, we still have a quorum, so let's nail it, please.
I don't have any questions. on this one. Do you?
No, I don't. Hey, Ross, wanna vote? I move that we approve the. Are we done?
We already approved it, that was the first thing, we took your
Okay.
suggestion.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that we were gonna, okay.
Yeah,
I thought the way it was phrased. I thought we were just approving that we were gonna handle. No, that is what I wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
right, well, that's what we all heard, Rick, right, Jim?
That's good.
You could make a motion to adjourn, nobody would.
Yeah, and I will make that motion,
Thank you.
Well,
They have to make.
because I actually have another meeting to
Oh,
go to.
but
So,
you have another meeting.
yeah,
Did anyone wanna sit and discuss this further, or should we all adjourn?
I don't have anything else on this.
Okay, you good? Everybody's good? Okay, so.
We're good.
We have a quorum of 4, motion to adjourn.
see you, Dan.
Jim was there, Dan said yes.
I didn't.
We're all in favor.
I'll vote for us.
Oh, no, we did a motion for approval at the very beginning.
They did.
Last
And
case, we
Dan
had three.
called.
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
Sitting here looking.
I got you said
Keep
blue,
it checked.
that's why I brought this.
Huh?
Guess who, guess who?
I,
Took it all smile.
Jim, did you?
No, it is.
Did you, Jim? Dennis, don't speak. Jim, did you make the initial motion to approve, and then we would discuss?
No, I believe Chris made that motion. You talking about the-
Okay, we need Dan, we need a motion from the finance committee.
I make a motion to approve all the line item transfers as dictated in the.
Good job, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Is there a second? Now you can speak. We have a second. All in favor?
Dictator.
All in favor? Well, if technology goes.
Aye. Yes, in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Enjoy whatever it is you're doing. Jen, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dan.
I would say one thing, seriously, I'm gonna forward that thing you sent me this afternoon. But I think as part of the discussion, we really need to be looking at that
Thank you, Em.
departmental ledger.